Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Backlot. We are the Backlot Boys, and this is episode 8, and it has been a very long time since our last episode. That's my fault. Not Boy Goona's fault. He's fine. He's good. But we're here with a really great podcast about a recent trip to Disneyland and a whole bunch of fun things happening around the parks. So, Boy Goona, are you excited to get back to podcasting?
Yeah, we've been wanting to get back into the game on this for quite a while, so very excited, and kind of a different tone today. So we're going about the old trip report. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm interested to hear. You know, we heard a lot of the stuff on your vlog, but I think it'll be interesting to have kind of a little bit of a Q&A, a little first person, a little point of view. Yeah,
so we can talk about some of the stuff on how I planned the trip and how it all went. Things about like Christmas time and all the fun things that we didn't get to on the vlog, because there are a lot of really cool things, and especially some tips. I learned a lot. I learned a lot planning this trip.
I think a lot of people want to know what it's like around there around Christmas time. You know, you kind of have like an idea in your head, or you maybe you see some footage or something, but really give, this will give a lot of people the opportunity to hear about what the crowd situation is, kind of like the general vibe, how people are behaving, all that kind of stuff. I think that'll be really helpful, especially this trip report. I think will be good for people planning, holiday time trips in the future.
A lot of people wearing pajamas for some reason. Was not expecting this.
PJ pants, the tops, but both, one of those long caps with the little ball on the end of it,
they had the whole thing. They had the sweatpants, the sweatshirt, the pajama styles of these things, and it was startling at first.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
It was a little bit weird, I'll tell you that right now, but let's jump into the Kingdom Cable, because there's a lot of refurbishments happening throughout the entire kingdoms, from Disneyland to Disney World. Lots of cool stuff going on. So tell us what's going on.
All right, so Kingdom Cable, do you want to do Disneyland first? Do you want to do Disney World first? Do you want to just kind of mix them in? What do you think would be best?
Let's give Disney World a little high five. It's hard for them out there.
11. It is tough on them, and they have something new. So Maleficent, the dragon, the steampunk stylized dragon that we reported on a while back, is now back into the Festival of Fantasy Parade, which is pretty cool, because I think a lot of people, including myself, I don't know about you, thought that the dragon would never come back, that they would go with a completely different type of thing. But she's back. She looks better. Hopefully everything's good. What do you think?
Does she breathe fire?
Yeah. Yep. Same mechanisms. They said that there had been some testing. I haven't seen the video, but there was a thumbnail that showed a lot of fire coming out of the mouth. You know how thumbnails are. People, a lot of trickery with those. But I think she's back, and I think in kind of full effect. Now, some things had to have changed. There's got to be something in place that, hopefully would prevent something like that from happening again.
Yeah.
The fire, the fully engulfed, but fully involved. But yeah, no, I think so. I think the function and all that kind of stuff, I think it's exactly as it was before.
Yeah, so people don't remember, a few months ago, the Maleficent parade float burst in fire. I mean, the head fell down. The children were screaming. Cast members were like, what in the world? So yeah, it's interesting to see it back. I wasn't 100% sure if it would come back or if it would come back with fire, but they went full fire. I like it. I like it.
Looks like, if you look at the head, you can see there's all the hoses and everything in there. So yeah, I think it does that. Maybe people can go on and kind of look at some videos. It's a lot of sites had made the announcement, so it probably wouldn't be too hard to find. But yeah, that's good news. Bouncing back. Never give up, never surrender.
All right, what else is going on?
So Disney World, just, kind of some little things. I think the Guardians of the Galaxy, the ride that they're putting in over at Epcot, which, if people are familiar with Anaheim, they're used to the Guardians of the Galaxy that kind of took over the Hollywood Tower Hotel over there.
More stole.
I'm still having a hard time with it, but I'll let it go for now. So we're going to do an episode on that. But, so they're building this Guardians of the Galaxy ride over there. It's supposed to be like one of the longest enclosed coasters in the world. They're done with it. So the ride vehicle looks pretty awesome. You can find some of the stuff online. Maybe we'll try to link some of it in the description. But yeah, so they're working on that at Epcot. It doesn't look like it's supposed to open till the spring of 2021. So we have we got a little bit of time. We got a little over 2 years, it sounds like. Have you heard anything different about that? Am I wrong about that date?
That's a long time, considering they're already, bringing in track pieces and stuff like that. That's a long time to build that. And the show building's, built. So they're putting the pieces in there. Yeah. Wow. That's startling. Wow. Words. a long time
Got it.
to build. I was thinking maybe like 2020.
That's what I thought too, and like maybe a typo. I don't know. It just yeah, it was pretty specific about 2021. I mean, yeah, you're right. The show building is done. It's fully enclosed now.
Hmm.
I think there's like the launch tube or whatever is still kind of exposed, but that's not a big deal. So yeah, it seems like, what else do they have to do aside from building out the interior, which we can't really see. So, but yeah,
It
I don't know. You're right. It did seem like what, 2 full years to get that done.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. On the other hand, this isn't just a roller coaster. It's not
No,
like, say,
no,
like Space
no.
Mountain, it's just in the dark, you're swooping and whooping around in there. But this ride has a whole bunch of show scenes, and especially this whole technology about the vehicle can come to a stop, and then your car
Hmm.
that you're sitting in then can turn to one side and look at a show scene and then move back into position and take off again. So there is a lot of new show scenes and technology built into it. I guess it's going to take a while. But it seems like with any Disney ride, it seems like they just keep getting longer and longer to build. But I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. This is what I wish they would have done in California Adventure instead of take our beloved Tower of Terror. But, can't always have everything.
Nope, nope. So that's cool, so they're working on that, working away. For people that like Hollywood Studios, which pretty cool park, they've definitely been doing a lot to it over at Disney
Hmm.
World right now. The Planet Hollywood store is closing. Just surprising to me that it was even there. I mean, not surprising that it was there in the first place, but that it's, withstood the test of time. Like I would have thought it was already gone. I didn't know since we don't go there very often. So
Yeah.
that was surprising, not a big deal. So McQueen's Racing Academy, that opens on March 31st. And the thing about that is that I kind of feel bad about is that so Dane is going to be going to Disney World in March, and I think he's going like the middle of the month, right? So he'll be there like 15th through 22nd, and he loves Lightning McQueen, he loves cars, just wild about the whole thing, and he's going to miss it. So that's kind of sad. That's too bad. So that's what is McQueen's Racing Academy anyway? It's like a VR situation. Is it kind of like Star Wars or excuse me, Star Tours?
There is a promo video they released, and it,
Okay.
it shows like wraparound screens. Then it looks like there's some, I don't know how advanced it'll be, but there is a Lightning McQueen animatronic, kind of like from Cars 3, the way he kind of got onto there.
Oh,
And
I
you're,
heard that that's amazing. That's the thing that I heard was really cool. So there's a light, yeah, you're right. There's a Lightning McQueen on that. Remember Cruise's trainers?
yeah,
Cruise was so it's actually, I think it functions on it too. Now I could be wrong, but what I read was that is I totally forgot about that. It is supposed to be just an unbelievable animatronic. So McQueen is on the trainer and maybe he's looking at the screens and you're in there with him or something, or
yes, you'll be sitting, if people remember, kind of like Timekeeper, things like that. You'll be kind of behind that watching it. So it's kind of, just a little thing, you kind of go into and you say, hey, there, we did it. I think it's something maybe a little more advanced than like Turtle Talk with Crush, stuff like that.
so kind of like Circle Vision.
Yeah, yeah. Timekeeper was like Circle Vision. Timekeeper
Okay.
was
See, I never went on Timekeeper. I didn't get to go on some of that stuff.
Timekeeper was in it was in Florida's Tomorrowland, and it was replaced by, I believe, Monsters Laugh Floor. I believe.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't in that show building that had what was the ride? The ET, Skippy, the extraterrestrial encounter.
No, that'd be on the left side. So on the
Oh, got it,
right,
got it, got it.
you had that the left you had Alien Encounter, and then that's then replaced by Stitch. See, the thing is, like, those two rides like just never seem to fit into Tomorrowland. Like, I'm looking at these things like,
Yeah.
I've never been on either one, but like looking at it like thematically, I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, you went on Alien Encounter.
Yeah, and it was awesome. I'm talking about Stitch.
Yeah. Oh, Stitch. Okay. Yeah. Alien Encounter. That still, like, people are still talking about this, is like one of the most terrifying rides of all time. Like all time, not just Disneyland, but all time. Scariest rides.
I mean, we went on it. I went on it when I was like 7. I didn't think it was.
Yeah.
I
You
mean, it
didn't
was
sweat it.
fun. It was wild. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
think it was just like it had some elements that like maybe like play to a lot of people's phobias, obviously like scared of the dark, and then you have
yeah,
that harness that's kind of pushing down on your shoulders. So there's some other elements, but yeah, that people talk about that all the time. I've listened to so many, whether it be podcasts or even just like videos on YouTube, some of the abandoned attractions, defunct land, stuff like that. But people are always talking about that being like one of the scariest.
I think it's become a bit more than it was. Like the reputation is like started to like.
It precedes it a little bit, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people didn't go on it, especially with like the Disney fandom, like really like building after that ride closed. And now people are like, oh my gosh, this old ride and it was crazy. And then it's like next week it's even scarier to them. Like,
yeah, you're right. I think it's being sensationalized after the fact a little bit.
but it was scary. I mean, like when the glass broke and all that stuff, like it was. Not saying it wasn't, but I don't think it was too crazy because I was always very scared of everything as a kid, and I wasn't like terrified once we left it. I loved it. I wanted to go on it again with my squeeze breeze.
Scariest ride for you is a locker. Picture, if you will, a locker room, a big paper grocery bag. Says the name Andrew on the outside, maybe with like a felt tip, marker or a Sharpie or something. And somebody tells you, hey, cat dog, or, hey, Scar, somebody brought their pet snake and it's in that bag right there.
I don't like snakes.
You go streak it out of the locker room. Take it home, take it home, take it home.
I don't like snakes.
Yeah. So
I'll honestly say that Indiana Jones was scarier to me than Alien Encounter because of the snakes. And I went on that when I was 5.
Speaking of snakes,
when it opened.
I don't want to be, I don't want to get too far off the topic. I've got one more thing to talk about Disney World. But if I do an impression real quick, snake related, do you think you can tell me what it's from?
Okay.
Okay, ready? All right. Thanks.
Oh, is that Harry Potter? When he let the boat constrictor go back to Brazil?
Yes, Nagini.
Oh, Nagini. Oh, I thought you were talking about the boa constrictor from the first book. When he's like,
oh no,
thanks.
that is what I'm talking about. That is what I thought that was Nagini.
No. That boa constrictor just lived in the zoo and he just wanted
a regular old snake.
Yeah, basic snakes.
Okay. So yeah. So I've been doing that a lot. I've been doing that to like people. I've been doing that like to Cade and like different people. And I've been doing it to Dane a lot actually too. And yesterday I was driving him around and I kept saying it and he goes, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. So I don't know, maybe he doesn't like snakes either, but I kept saying it.
That's
anyway, yeah, so I thought I would, and I've been meaning to try that out on you and you nailed it. I'm proud of you. That's good. That's great.
People don't really give me a lot of credit all the time, but sometimes I come through.
Yeah.
So Disneyland, okay. Enough of Disney World. We're done with you.
Yeah, I forgot about Disney World. Okay, so so Kingdom Cable over there, Fantasmic is down for a little refurb. I think it went down. You said that you didn't see the show when you were there in December. From what I saw, it said it shows January through late spring. Obviously, what do you think? This is another thing another one of the many things to help get ready for the unveiling of Galaxy's Edge Star Wars Land.
Or they're trying to save money.
Or that. Well, I don't know. So they're taking it down. They're going to mess around with it. This show, Fantasmic, it runs like two times a night for 9 months. So of course, they're going to need some time to do that. They're going to need some time to clean it up. Which makes me think like it's going to be kind of a quiet, like winter and spring. And I don't mean quiet like there's not going to be anything going on. There's tons of construction everywhere, but quiet in terms of like nighttime shows because you've got no Fantasmic now. I don't know if this rumor is confirmed, but it sounds like there's not going to be any fireworks in February at all. So not even on the weekends.
Wow.
So, Anaheim residents rejoice, but I did hear a little bit more about the Mickey's Mix Magic. Are you familiar with that show?
Yeah, I watched a video.
Okay. So it's like a DJ scene, he's up there. It's kind of by Rivers of America. So like, am I right? Is that the location? Is that where they're going to do it?
It's anywhere the fireworks are seen from. So Main Street, Rivers, and Small World.
Okay. And are there going to be water curtains everywhere, or is that just going to be at Rivers?
Water curtains are there, and then projections on Small World and projections on the Main Street buildings. No projections, at least I thought I heard, on the castle because the castle is being refurbed. So there's scrims all over the castle. Unless they can project onto the scrims, I'm not sure. Another point, that makes sense, because I was going to say they're not launching pyro because this show does have pyro, but they're not always going to use it. Okay. And they're not incorporating the pyro into the castle, but they can't do that because it's under refurb.
And the castle, what are they doing to that? As far as I know, it's just the roofs. Are they doing anything else?
Oh, so they released a little video on it.
Okay.
So they talked about how they're going to incorporate a bit more like force perspective into the paint. So the So if you start down at the bottom of the castle where like the brickwork goes upwards,
Sure.
they'll start at a darker color at the bottom. And then as they work their
Okay.
way up to like the first level of it, it'll lighten. So it gives you that little bit of
Okay.
like forced perspective. And then for the paint on like the main facade structure, it's going to be really pale yellow, or not yellow, I mean pink. So very similar to the old design, but they are going to highlight it.
Design, yeah.
They are going to highlight it with a little bit darker pink in some areas to give it more depth. And I think
I like that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think this is going to be really good for it. And then the roof line, at least from the drawing, it looked a little bit darker blue. So the main thing they're doing, like you said, is they're taking off all of the spires and they're replacing those, because the spires, they say were damaged after the 60th, but I think all the snow, like the spires, when they have like a snow spire, and it like goes right over the existing ones for when it's winter time. So it looks like the castle has snow on it. But over time, those going on and off of them have really damaged them. Like one of the spires is dented and it looks terrible. And it's been like that for 5-10 years now.
What's the deal with those? Wasn't one of them or a couple of them or something like that, like made out of like plated gold? You know, the whole Walt Disney story about that?
Well, if it's
are
true,
those the same ones you're talking about, or are you talking about something different?
Well, there are the gold spot. Yes, it's the tops of those, but it's the whole roof spire is being replaced.
Okay.
Yeah. And as far as anything else around there, not that I know of, but I'm excited to see what it looks like. I think the castle will look really good, because over time, I think they've tried a lot of different things with a lot of like from the 50th onwards, they've kind of like really kind of thrown the castle in a bit of disarray. So I kind of hope they clean it all up, get it back to how it was pre 50th. Even though I love the darker colors during the 50th, but I think it's time to go back to the original.
Yeah. So you like that kind of like faded pink, like the kind of like pastel-y, like kind of pale pink. You like that?
I do like the darker color for a time, but I think the lighter is the more superior color because it gives you a better forced perspective feel to it. See, if it's darker, it looks closer to you. But the reason it was made so pale originally was so it looks like it's further away than it really is.
Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting little tidbit that used to be so pale. So when you're at the end of Main Street, it looks much further away than.
Oh, now that makes more sense. Kind of off in the distance a little bit more.
Then when it became like hardcore pink for the 50th.
Yeah. Bam, right there.
Yeah, it was like, boom, got the little crowns on there. Looked good.
Right in your face.
But it's time for that to go
away. So that's the roof. Yeah, so they're working on the castle a little bit. Let's see. So Bob Iger, he made this little announcement. Did they shut down his Twitter? Did he shut down his Twitter? There's some funny things about that, but he did mention that he expects Star Wars Land or the Galaxy's Edge stuff to open up in June. So June's in quotes. Like he won't give like a hard date, but he's saying June right now.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with Iger's Twitter. I think he tried to be a bit of a jokester.
He was goofing. He was goofing about the Marvel Land, and he's like, "We're gonna have 50 rides and all this stuff." And I don't know what he thought. He was like talking to some buddies in the locker room or something. But he was like kind of clowning with it. But I think sometimes these guys, you got to be careful with, it's the same thing with like the Elon thing and the funding secured and all that. Is like that's. I don't know. I don't know. There's too much. You're held to a lot of there's a lot of responsibility, and people like change their lives based on what one other person tweets about. It's just that's a dangerous precedent, but there's not much they can do about it. So from what I can tell, the Twitter, that Twitter handle is gone because he had, he made like a nice heartfelt message he sent out to the Californian and the firefighters during the, all those fires going on. But even that's gone. And then first of all, he started deleting tweets. The account still existed. Now I don't even think the account's there anymore.
I don't know. I do remember it went down and then came back up. I don't know about like deleting anything, but it was very, I think it was just really uncharacteristic of Iger, because prior to that, all of his tweets, as far as I could tell, were always like if some kind of a tragedy happened, somebody passed away, it'd be this kind of standard, probably written by a secretary or some kind of PR person.
Very buttoned up, no clown and no joking.
But then he throws out that Captain Marvel tweet. And the thing is, either like you don't do it or you double down and you make it as like a joke. But he's not, he's a very serious individual. Maybe he's a little bit more loose with his pals, but I
Hmm.
don't know. I think he needs to work on his internet humor a little bit. I don't really care. He can do whatever he wants, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think he followed through on his joke. Like that's my
yeah.
point. He didn't
That's a good
follow it all the
point.
way through.
Yeah, he didn't stick it out. He wasn't in there for the long haul. Because yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And like people get all crazy though, with it being a public company, you got to be careful with certain things. But I think he does like to have a good time. I'll disagree with you about that because I've seen pictures of him hanging out with like Spielberg and a bunch of these other clowns, but like not at like I shouldn't say clowns, but guys, but not at like an event where they're all in their tuxedos and stuff. But this was like at some goofball restaurant like in LA or something. He's in there, he's having a laugh, and he's wearing like some workout pants and an old sweatshirt. So
Yeah.
he goofs around, he has a good time. But yeah, you're right though. With regards to the Twitter channel and anything that he puts out as Bob Iger, the guy, the second to the big cheese, as that person, yeah, he's not very humorous.
Yeah, very, very like methodical. I've seen him twice now, like at
Hmm.
shareholders meetings. Yeah, he's very like to the point.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
but yeah, maybe I don't know. I wish we did have a CEO that had a little bit like more of a personality, but Bob's had his moments. I don't think he's been
hmm.
a terrible one, and
Hmm.
I think he's kept the company from getting bought out and all that stuff in those early days of him taking over. So I think we could talk about Bog's legacy in another podcast. I would enjoy
Sure,
that quite a
sure.
bit.
All right, forget about it. So, but yeah, I just thought I'd mention, he's saying now and everybody, I think anybody like the enthusiast knows now that, of course, it's June. What day? That's on everybody's mind. We'll see what happens.
All right, we learned
Two
from
other big,
this, Bob. You got to learn
yeah,
Twitter a little bit better. Just a little bit better. Just
yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
lesson for
Take
you.
a Twitter lesson, 101. So, other little things with Disneyland, we've got the 30th anniversary of Splash Mountain coming about. Bear Country over there, and the 50th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion. So I'm asking you, I guess, and anybody that's listening is like, are these going to get any attention? People going to talk about this at all? Is this going to, or are they going to do merchandise? Is there going to be maybe I'd love to see a TV commercial with Haunted Mansion. I don't know how they would do it and not have it be like, one of those ones with all the cut scenes and really bright and flashy. I think there'd be a fun way they could do it, but will they even do it with Star Wars Land? Is everything on Star Wars Land that this stuff is just going to be forgotten about? What do you think?
That's a good question. It would be really disappointing if they didn't do anything for the Haunted Mansion being its 50th. They did at least a decent amount of stuff for Pirates of the Caribbean's 50th anniversary. And I think these two attractions are equal. And I would say they'll probably release some merchandise. I would have loved it if they went in there and, did like a big like 50th anniversary refurbishment, maybe added a couple new scenes similar to the way they did in Florida. Just keep the Hitchhiking Ghost the same as they've always been.
Yeah.
Keep that
Yep.
keep that special one over in Disney World. That's all I'll say about
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But it would have been cool if they would have made a big deal about it, like had a refurbishment. I always thought it would be amazing if the animatronic, or not the animatronics, but like the static figures that they use with the Pepper's ghost effect to make the ghost like in the ballroom, like if they
Yeah.
actually gave them actual like movement instead of just being a static figure,
What do
like
you mean
they're.
by that? How do you mean?
Well, a lot of them are really like static. So like the
Mhm.
dancers, they move in circles, or
Oh yeah,
there is the
plastic peppers. Yeah.
well, the guy who blows out the candles. But if they added a little bit more like motion to those, I think that'd be
Hmm.
really cool. I've always wanted.
How hard would something like that be? Like what would be involved in creating an effect like that? Do you think?
I think just giving the actual figure more movement, because I mean they show you can do it, like the rocking grandma and the rocking chair and stuff. I just think it'd be cool if those characters had more facial expressions and stuff like that from above.
Yeah, because we've been seeing those same acts of the guys coming out of that broken hearse or whatever that backed up and coming through the hole, and we've been seeing the same stuff like for a long time. The twirling dancers, the guys. I like the guys in the portraits that have the little duel. I think that's neat. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. We've been seeing the same stuff. The guy on the chandelier. We've seen all this stuff. The piano player. So it would be very cool to see some new effects. That's interesting. You're bringing that's what I like about the podcast. Like say one thing and it kind of like leads into a bunch of different things. But that would be really cool.
If we want to go down that, I think it would be cool if like maybe just some of the animatronics were updated a little bit. Like the guy with the lantern, the dog, and the shovel.
Oh,
The
I
grave
love that
digger.
guy. Yeah.
Maybe give him like a little bit more movement, like just things like that to improve it a little bit, but not like take away from the basic storyline. So you're not getting crazy moving things around too much. I mean, we do have the Hatbox Ghost now, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
really
we can
cool.
talk about this, during the thing, but maybe we bring it up really quick right now since we're talking Haunted Mansion. When you went on a Haunted Mansion, and I know this because of your travel vlog from your recent trip, you said that every time you got to the point where you were face to face with the Hatbox Ghost, it was in a reset mode. Like, what is that?
So he starts out with his face, with his head on his shoulders, and then there's this little, like, he kind of like goes up
He's
and
got a good
down.
head on his shoulders.
It kind of
Okay.
moves around a little bit, and then it pops into the hat box. It uses,
Okay. How
projections
many
instead of
seconds
lighting.
is that? How many seconds from the head on the shoulders to into the hat box? Like, how long is that? What, like 4 seconds, 5 seconds?
Somewhere
Less
around
than.
there. But when we went through it, you always had to kind of crane the neck to see it. Whereas like other dune buggies can see like kind of a more of a better transition.
Okay, all right. So anyway, so that yeah, I mean the Haunted Mansion, they're doing that. I thought I heard they did something with Splash Mountain though. They like like put new lights in there, and I saw that Brer Bear's tail. Like I think his tail was missing for a while. I don't know if like an enthusiastic fan took it or what happened, but the tail's back on there. Everybody's happy about the bear getting his tail back. I think it's when he's being dipped down in the water with the ropes, the
Hmm.
fox and everything. But yeah, I heard that they updated the lighting effects or something in there. Is that right? Is that wrong?
I think that's Disney World.
Busted Disney World. Okay. Either way, we got the anniversaries coming up. But like I said, yeah, I mean, do you think this stuff will just get kind of kicked to the side for Star Wars Land? Do you think there'll be any mention outside of a little bit of merch?
I think it'll be a little bit of merch,
Okay.
maybe a frozen treat, and that's probably about it. Sadly,
Okay.
I mean,
And Walt. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying that it's just, I think with Star Wars that's everything's going to go towards that. And I mean, you see it with the park now is they're spending a ton of money trying to reconfigure the park to accommodate more people. I'll have more to say about that later. But
Okay.
yeah, sadly, I think the Haunted Mansion's not going to get like a couple new effects or anything like that. I think it'll kind of pass by, unfortunately. But we got Star Wars Land. Looks pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, as far as the cable is concerned, I mean, that's really kind of about all that I've got here. A couple other comments, but yeah, I think I think we need to start talking about that trip. I want to know what happened. I want to know what it was all about. Scar, you've been back, what, a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? When did you go on when were you in Disneyland? You were there 3 weeks ago, right?
I have no idea. I've been sick and in
A
the
little more than
hospital.
that. Yeah, you've been down and out. So anyway, you went to Disneyland. You had been planning it for a little while. I wanted to go. I was hoping to go. I got a new gig, and so I wasn't able to take the time off to go on the trip right away. So I'm very disappointed about that. So I got to live through the vlog and then through this little kind of little Q&A, just kind of
Yep.
ask you how it all went. So you planned it. You went through a travel agency. You did this yourself. How did you do that?
So I wanted it to be kind of a fun surprise for my parents and all inclusive trip,
Sure.
Um,
Very generous.
and like you said, you weren't able to make it, and I got it through Costco. I looked through,
Okay.
buying a hotel separate. I looked through AAA, but I found that Costco has the best deals now, and it was really like blown away by some of the perks they give you. And it was a really great experience. You call them up. I was on hold for a god awful amount of time, and I'm talking like 45 minutes, but it was worth it. I'll tell you that it was.
So
It was worth
you're
it.
talking about perks you get with it. What kind of perks did you get with booking your trip through Costco that maybe somebody wouldn't get going about it a different way?
Yeah. So the first thing I noticed was basically the room rates were all about the same, and that's booking directly through the Walt Disney Travel Company, say on the Disneyland website.
Sure.
Booking through AAA or booking through Costco. But where I found some of the differences were the room type through Costco was a slightly more expensive room if you were to book through the two other options. So say the Walt Disney Travel Company through Disneyland website.
Okay.
Or through AAA. Eventually, they all go through the Walt Disney Travel Company, but you kind of start at a point and then you kind of meet in the end at the same point. But where Costco came in was food vouchers. So they brand it as a character meal, and for how many people are in your party, they give you a free premium character dining. And
wow, that's worth it. Those are expensive, right? I mean,
they're worth $49 a piece.
Hello.
So you look at it this way, you're like, okay, I guess you could go to Goofy's Kitchen, you could go to some of these places, but we weren't really like super like jazzed on like a buffet. So I was reading the fine print on it, and you can actually use this at any food location, but there's a little bit of a sticking point on it. you could buy a delightful meal at the Carthay Circle Theater, or you could buy a Mickey ice cream bar, and it doesn't matter. Like if you buy a $5 popsicle,
Okay.
they're going to take that card and that's that. Or
so it's not like a card that as you have a churro, you have a popcorn, it starts deducting these amounts and it's like that. It's like you use it, it's gone regardless of the amount that you spend on it.
Correct.
That is peculiar. Okay.
So what you got to do is you got to figure out like, okay, you could use this for a nice restaurant at like Carthay Circle Theater that's in California Adventure, or the Blue Bayou, or something along those lines. So if you book through Costco, highly recommend using those for other things that's not a character dining, if you're not into that. Characters are great, but sometimes the buffet, it's a lot of food, things like that. Sometimes you can get like a really nice like sit down meal at another place by using these. Just give them to your server like ahead of time so they don't have to like re-ring the bill. And
it's a whole thing. That's cool. That's actually a really good tip, and it's good to remember. Like somebody probably would think that it acted, that it would act like a gift card. Where it was like, okay, we're just going to reduce these amounts, and you're just going to eat popsicles for 3 days. But maybe that's as you're pointing out, that's not possible with the card. That's really funny. I wonder how many people get gamed on it like that. Like they just I'm going to get like what is that? There's like a bag of apple slices. They $49 bag of apples. So
yeah, and the server was like pointed out like you'll lose like $10 or $15, and it was like, well, it's fine. We had like a great meal at Carthay Circle. So that's a really great perk of going through going through Costco. Another thing is they give you a gift card based on length of stay. So I don't know the value amounts, but we got a $50 gift card. We stayed for 4 nights.
Okay, so a couple of bucks a night, and you get set up like that. So Costco is not just giant, toothpaste and big old bags of beef jerky. They have a good travel program over here, especially for Disney vacations.
Oh, perfect. It's amazing. I was looking at other destinations, and there were some trips to Hawaii and this place and that place, and they add on a lot of extra cool perks. So I will be using Costco in the future because it was great.
I like that.
So
and he wasn't paid to say that, just organic conversation here.
Absolutely not paid.
Thought we needed to make sure that we made that clear. So so you booked it through Costco. You set up that process, and then now how much time passed between the time of the booking and the time of the trip?
So that's a good question. I don't really remember. It was
couple of months.
It was probably a month.
That's pretty good. So 30 days out. Well, because sometimes people plan these trips like a long ways in advance. So 30 days out, you were able to plan this. You're able to stay at. Did you reveal? I don't know if you did. The Grand Californian, which is an absolutely bodacious resort over there. Yeah, you're able to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me say something about because we wanted to go somewhere for Christmas, and it took a long time to kind of like narrow down what we could do like physically, because everyone's just falling apart around here. And when like my parents said that they could probably go to Disneyland easier than other places, and I was like, okay. It's
and you brought jelly? You brought jelly, or you didn't bring jelly?
No, Jelly stayed home. Home.
Just checking.
Yeah, because we wanted to go somewhere, then we didn't want to go somewhere. So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to surprise them with this trip. We wanted the plan and all that stuff. So
it was really nice of you to do something like that, Yeah. You needed it.
So once I figured out like when we were going to go somewhere, then we weren't going to go anywhere. And then I was like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to set this all up, get it all planned out. And this is the first time I've ever planned anything like vacation wise, like with travel and all this stuff. So that was really fun to kind of do all on my own to, surprise my parents and all. And so when I looked at the dates, so we went in December 10th to the 14th. That particular week was over $150 a night cheaper than any other week in December. I don't know what it is about that particular time in December, but 1, it was cheaper. 2, the crowds were very, very light. And if you looked at the crowd indexes before and after that week, they were both like red zone, like, hey, stay away, don't come, woo, crazy. So something about that is a great week, is that second week of December is very inexpensive comparative to the other weeks, especially going further into December. So if you want to see the Christmas decorations, that is a really good week to go. And for some reason, the hotel was much cheaper. Like I'm talking $150 cheaper a night.
Per night. That really adds up. You're there 4 nights. So yeah, that makes a big difference.
I admit it. Yeah, it was a huge difference.
Wow.
So yeah, we stayed at the Grand Californian.
Okay.
The reason I picked that is it would be easier for my mom and dad, to get back and forth. And we took full advantage of the proximity to California Adventure. Like when we did our California Adventure day where we did a lot in that park, we went back and forth to the hotel like 3 times. It was great. It was
awesome. Okay. And what was your view? You're in the hotel,
good.
because I think a lot of people who have gone through, the website and they've kind of looked at these, the room prices are going to vary obviously by the size of the room, but also by the view. Is it a park view? Is it a pool view? Is it a dumpster view? Like what was your view? What were you looking at?
That's a great point. I wanted to stay in a particular room that we stayed in a long, long time ago. And that is a room that overlooks the great room, which is the lobby, very decorative, you got
Beautiful.
the Christmas tree hanging out down there.
Mm-hmm.
And the windows overlook, I think they call it a woods courtyard view. And what's below there is the monorail and the walkway to go into downtown Disney. And,
Cool.
It turns out they now consider that for wheelchair rooms, they didn't prior, but they now consider that a premium view, or not a premium, but they consider that like an upgraded room view.
Upgraded view. Okay.
So I just had the standard view. I don't know if views aren't always
A room with a view.
I mean, some rooms are worth a view, like maybe if you wanted an ocean or something, but for this,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was necessary. But what they gave us was the view looking out it looks out over Disneyland Drive in the parking lot. So nothing fancy, but there's a interesting part about these rooms is they're at least 4 feet longer than the other rooms. And it makes a huge difference. These rooms are gigantic. And
Sure.
if you look at the little map of the hotel, the rooms that are the basics, nothing fancy view wise are actually much larger than the way more expensive view rooms. So there's way more room in the room, spread out.
More room in the room. You got to have a lot of room in the room, especially when, you have your wheelchair in there. First of all, you got 3 people, three adults. You got a wheelchair. You have a lot of medical supplies.
Yeah.
It's important to have that extra space.
Yeah. So it having that room have more space, even though you got lesser of a view, I thought it worked out really, really well. And the room that we had prior, which now is considered an upgraded view room, wheelchairs had nothing but trouble trying to get out onto like the little patio outside.
Oh, okay.
This one was great. I wheeled out there a few times. So
now, did they extend those patios? Because I know that like Disneyland Hotel, the patios it's not even really a thing. But at California Adventure or Grand Californian, you can roll out there. How many feet do you think you have right there? Just for people listening, they like to picture this in their mind.
Probably about 4 feet as a
enough.
deck
That's
outside.
enough.
Yeah, it's a
chair and a little table out there. Is there like a little setup, a little patio?
Two
setup?
chairs.
I like it.
Yeah. It was really nice. And may I point out that the rooms have all been renovated. So they have a lot of new features. So lots of USB ports. Unfortunately, they didn't go with like a wood floor like some of the renovated rooms in the Disney World hotels have recently been introducing. But the bathrooms are really nice. Everything's much brighter. They have LED track lighting over the ceiling, so everything's just
and it
like
used to
really
be kind of
bright.
dark in there, because it's the Craftsman style, and so it's kind of like, I wouldn't say like muted, but there's a lot of wood or whatever, and yeah, it was kind of like that, like really yellow orangish kind of like soft lighting is what it was before, and that's changed a little bit.
Yeah, much brighter. The wood tones are a little bit lighter, and some people criticized it being that it's supposed to be Craftsman style. Craftsman style is heavy dark colors.
A lot of wood.
But, I think they did a good blend. They wanted it to be more modern, but still keep it in the Craftsman style. I think they did a good job in that, kind of trying to like total line on those two things, trying to be more modern and also kind of keeping with the hotel. So I think they did a good job on that. The wheelchair room, 2 points. The beds are lower to the ground in wheelchair rooms. And
I like
then
that.
second, which that is a really great thing. And then second, there is a red outlet in the room for emergency equipment. So if the hotel loses power and you need a
Oh.
medical device to continue running, it goes to the generator. It might be
Is
a
that
California rule.
I never understood that, but the times, visiting you in the hospital and different things like that, they always have, they've got the outlet on the wall. It's obviously it's GFE and everything when there's water nearby, but like they have those orangish red plugs. Is that what that is? Those are plugs that are, sent off to a generator of some kind. I never knew what that was.
Yeah, that's what we were told anyway. So the red plugs are for medical devices. So if the power goes out, that plug will continue to operate so long as the generator does. That's what we were told.
That's fantastic.
Who knows?
I do like that. Yeah, maybe it doesn't do anything, but it's it's maybe it
It's a
makes you
thought that
feel good. It
counts.
makes you feel better. Thought that counts. That's cool. Okay, so of the upgrades that they've made, the ones that were probably the most important to you, or the ones that stood out the most, was maybe the lighting and the lower beds, you think?
I think the backboards are really nice. You got Chippendale doing some sneaky business. They're taking away an orange.
The headboards, is that carved into it? Is there lights? Because at the Disneyland Hotel, that it lights up and does the little fireworks. It doesn't do anything like that.
No, I think the Disneyland's got a beat with the whole like music box playing with the fireworks going off, but it's still really nice. They also incorporated a gigantic TV into the room. And what's nice about it is it has a channel now that gives you all your information for the park, like times. It plays a little Disney music, and that's really nice about it.
Did you do the wake up calls where you call, Goofy calls in and he wakes you up, gets you going for the day? You guys didn't do those? You didn't do it. Why didn't you do those? That's one of the best parts about staying on the property, I feel like.
I didn't know they had that anymore.
Well, maybe they don't, but I used to think that was one of the fun parts.
Oh, no, of course it was. The first night, like Mom would hand us the phone, like, look, it's Goofy.
Yeah, hey, he's calling. And you're like, 5 more minutes, But so that's good. So you got in there, you just stayed at the good hotel. So you guys flew down there. The flight, how was that? It was uneventful. Everything was okay.
Yeah. So I went back and forth. Being that I booked this a little bit late, flights would be more expensive. Okay. So flying into Orange County, so flying into John Wayne on Alaska was going to be like 1,000 something. And I was like, eek. Okay. So I looked around a little bit, trusty Delta, important fellows over there. And I think I booked in the end 3 flights from Portland to LAX for like $500. It was like half of going into John Wayne. I think it was just me booking late and those flights were filling up into John Wayne. Sure. But I did get a really nice deal on that. So I was pretty happy about that. Delta, they're good. They're good on the way down. We'll talk about the way back in a little bit, unless you want to get into that now.
No, we'll do it on the way. We're kind of doing it in order here. It sounds like.
So yeah, that all worked out. If you're in a wheelchair, if you have a lot of medical devices, I highly encourage you to call TSA Cares before you go to the airport. That way they can sometimes set up an appointment system for you so you can meet somebody and they'll take you through security a little bit more efficiently. Keeps the lines from backing up, stuff along those lines. Going into Portland, nobody called us. There was a guy and he's like, hey, I was supposed to call you. And I was like, hey, appreciate you.
The thought that counts again. Thought.
So they weren't there. And then when we went back, nobody was there again for LAX. But when they do call you and tell you to stand here and wait for somebody to take you through, everything goes much more smoothly and faster. But yeah, the way there, uneventful, 737.
Good. All right.
Kind of one of their older fellas, one of their older guys. So hopefully that puppy will get updated soon, but it's still a nice plane. The flight attendants were all good. Appreciated them. Pilots got us there safe.
It's all that matters. So you get there, and you took an Uber, you took a van or a bus or a train or a trolley. How did you get to the hotel?
I was going to say that we hit that tarmac pretty hard, and my upper body strength isn't super great, and I hit the seat in front of me, like face.
Now, was it one of those stops? They land, the wheels touch down. It's a short, like abrupt stop, like they put the brakes on right away. So I don't know this for sure, but Kate was telling me that when you come in, when you're on a plane and they do those fast stops like that, typically those are usually Navy pilots. These are pilots that were it's just a thing. It's like they're used to landing on carriers, so they got to touch down and put the brakes on and be done. That's what they're used to. So that's a lot of times, you get that they can almost identify, what this pilot's background is by the way that they make the stop, and so that's that kind of makes sense.
Dude, this guy smashed that runway and hit that brake. I have never felt G's like that.
Tom Cruise was flying that thing. Maverick, he was crushing it.
I have not flown that much, mind you, but like on the way back, I never left the seat.
Yeah, jumped on it.
Completely different.
Okay, so you land, kind of, however it is. You get in the coupe. How did you get to the hotel?
So my man Barry sent out a text saying that he arrived and he's waiting in baggage. So what I did was I had 4 options to Disneyland from LAX. So it's more expensive. Sure. So that's one of the downsides of LAX is a little further away, traffic issues.
Yep.
So the Disneyland Express is a bus that you can take. It's called like the flyaway buses. So we were in Terminal 2. So if you're in Terminal 1, 2, and 3, you go to Terminal 2 and you can be picked up there on these buses. I assume that's the same on the other side of the airport for like 5, 6, 7, whatever it is over there. They probably have one spot you go to, you get on the bus, that'll take you there. Second option is those blue and red vans that kind of fly in and out. Those are a little bit more wild and crazy, and they're kind of like sometimes, yeah.
I thought they were blue and yellow. Yeah,
there's the blue ones, and then there's a red one.
Sure enough. Okay.
And they're probably fine. I think we've taken them twice in our lives. And it's always kind of eventful. Like sometimes they're like, hey, this is an express thing. But then, it's like 2 hours later and you're in downtown Los Angeles.
You're stopping at hotels. Like you had to pick up a guy's dry cleaner. Like, I feel like I remember something like that. But yeah, those are a little bit more unpredictable.
Yeah, it is, because you could see like this guy's trying to, sneak in a couple extra things. And it's like, you pay for the express. So I didn't want to do that option. The next option would be like, say, an Uber, but we had such a crazy Uber experience at TwitchCon.
Good and bad. So
really bad and really crazy, which wasn't bad. But
always interesting. A
lot of melted things like licking wrappers.
Oh, holy moly, those wrappers. We'll forget about that for right now.
One lady thought I thought she was going to get us killed by going through a police checkpoint. It was.
Yeah.
Okay.
If only she would have picked us up in the Maserati, talk about a Maserati, but we're sitting in the back of a Dodge Caravan,
Yeah, she kept talking about that Maserati. I don't know if it was real or not, but anyway.
Those might have been photoshopped, but anyway, so what was the option you ended up going with here?
So we ended up going with like a car service to pick us up and take us. So it was more expensive, but what I was trying to avoid was any kind of like moms, and our mom's not like super great health wise, so I wanted it to be as like smooth as possible. I wanted it to be where like the wheelchair just goes in the back, we're done, we don't have to worry about the bus not having a lift. Uber's getting really crazy, plus Ubers were really expensive if you want a bigger vehicle to fit like a wheelchair in the back along with the suitcases. It would have been like almost $225 both ways.
Yeah, and
that was a lot of money for that. So we decided to go with Carrie. Okay. They do. That's who I've had companies use for me for like gaming events. So I was like, I'll call them up. They arrive at baggage claim. They help you in. They take you to the spot. It was the most efficient thing and the most well spent money ever. So he was at baggage claim.
Did he have the sign? He
did. And I'm going to point out something here.
Okay.
No, I'm like, Barry. and he just stares at me like he's not thinking like this goofy guy in a wheelchair. Like, I'm not picking up this guy.
How many times has this happened to you where people have mistaken, it's somebody, it had to be somebody else that arranged this?
Yeah, I mean, this guy, look at him. He's about to just keel over right in front of me. I'm like, Barry, it's me. And so, yeah, we go through that and he finally realizes it's me. And he was I really like Barry. Barry was great.
He's happy to see you. He gets you guys all loaded up. The bags go in the car. You get in the car and you go.
Yeah. Yeah. He was nice. Real talkative. He wanted to talk about everything under the sun.
Do you like that? You get in the car and it turns into a whole thing and you're learning about all this. Do you want the conversation? Do you want it dead silent? Do you want a little bit of both? I mean, you kind of have to do one or the other because you don't want to be interrupted if you decide to be quiet. So how did you decide on, or like what moves did you make? What things did you do to make him think like, hey, I'm open for conversations on this ride?
Barry's a talker.
He was gonna do it either way.
Either
All
way,
right.
but that's fine. Like I didn't
Sure.
mind because on the way back it was pretty much a complete different thing, and I was fine with that too. I don't care. I'll talk to you or not talk to you, whatever you want. I'm open to anything. I'm pretty laid back. So yeah, Barry got us there like in like I'll say this. Barry got us there in like 19 minutes. LAX to Anaheim. Barry was just flying through those freeways. Like
I'd almost say that that's impossible, but you know, for the sake of the story.
I have never seen a trip that fast. Anyway, not that he went over the speed limit or anything, but he knew those roads, and he just got us there like lickety split. So
and you guys could probably ride in the carpool. And what time of day did you get there? You got there in the morning, didn't you? Get there like around like 9 or 10 a.m.
Yeah, I changed the flights because we were going to get in around 3 to, I believe, 12 or 11.
Yeah, I think I remember it being somewhere around 11. You mentioned it, or you could hear you could hear it over the loudspeaker on the airplane when you landed. What time it was? So.
Oh yeah, I'll have to look back at the vlog. So yeah, Barry was super nice. He got us there. He did get off on Harbor.
Okay.
So Harbor.
Classic mix-up, classic mistake. Maybe he remembers Disneyland, where that would be the place that you'd get off instead of Disney Way. I always get off on Euclid, but yeah, I could see people making that mistake.
Yeah, he got off and then he took us like all the way down to the convention center, down Catella, and then down Disneyland Drive. And I'm like,
sure.
But I'm okay with it. I was fine. I didn't care, but I was like, when I saw him pass that exit, I'm just so used to always taking that exit in the past that I was like, hey, whatever.
Like, so you get to California, you get to Grand California, and you pull into the little overhang, the little portico over there, and those those like the opening those doors. They have like the stained glass, and they open up, and then boom, there's this big lobby. You get in there. Did you spend a lot of time waiting at the desk, the registration? You're sitting there for a while to get the keys.
Oh, we were there for a while. What I'll say is like when we got there, Barry's kind of a man that likes to do things his way. Okay. And like Disney's like, okay, stop, take a right, like move into this, they try to keep things like really efficient because there's a lot of people going in and out, especially at that time. And, they're trying to move cars, and Barry was not a fan of that. Barry said he's going to park here because that's where he's going to park.
Okay.
Because,
and did that favor you? Barry was looking out for you. He was trying to get you in the right spot, or was he kind of doing?
Barry was looking out for us.
Okay, hey, that's all you can ask for. That's all that matters.
Yeah, no, Barry was looking out for us, which we liked. The bellhops they just ignored us 100%.
Yeah, that's how they do.
So we just, we didn't have much bags, so we were fine. So we just, headed on in. We got in the line. Then this lady is like, hey, the line's back here. And then we're like, oh, crud.
She busted you. You snuck in.
Hey, this isn't over. Hey, this isn't over. Okay. So we go back over there and she goes, oh, my mistake. Never mind. We're at the end of the line. And see, the thing is, like, to go back around wasn't like, hey, I can just squeeze by you because of the wheelchair. I have to go all the way around this giant pillar, all these, couches and stuff. And then we have to go all the way back around. And it's just like, oh, come on, lady. What you doing to me? It's, it's not as easy. And so we
even with the magic wheel, it's still a lot of work to get around the corner.
So we were in line for probably 10 minutes. And then
wait.
Yeah, barely any wait at this point. We're, it's fine. We're all excited. We're happy. Flight's not too long, so we're not doing okay. We get up to the thing, and man, that takes a long time. Like, I'm not always 100% sure like what check-in people at hotels do behind the computer, but they do a lot. Papers are flying.
Don't you sometimes want to see what that screen looks like? I feel like it's Solitaire, it's Minesweeper or something, maybe Candy Crush, and they're just dinking around on there. I don't mean that, of course there's like lots of little, black and green screens and all that, but like it just seems like, dude, what is on that screen?
Oh my God, like they were just like his fingers were just rocking on that keyboard,
flying.
And I'm just like, oh man, like it took a long time, and then he came back because he had if you don't book within 30 days, so I think we actually booked slightly under 30 days. The tickets are delivered to the hotel, so he gave them to me, and it was the most horrible experience trying to open that package. And I'm like, guy, like,
why?
I got 2 paper cuts.
You know why? There's always paper cuts on game day. It's always the day you get there or the day you're leaving. you're gonna cut on something because you're antsy and you're not thinking and you're kind of moving quickly.
I looked up to him. I'm like, man, this is really hard to open. He goes, oh yeah, they designed it that way so nobody could like easily break in and steal something out of it.
Classic theft.
Because you couldn't just pull up the tab. The tab was sealed with like super space glue, and like I'm like ripping these pieces, and there's like, oh, it was a complete disaster, and I had to get in there to like do it. And it would have been great if you just pay, let me get some scissors or something.
Yeah, a little, letter opener or something he could help out with.
He did not want to help that. Like, and it was hard because I couldn't reach the counter. It was way up in the air. So
wait, don't they have, they usually have like this little one that you can pull up on. It's got like a little cutout.
For some reason, they're blind to those things. They're just like, hey, I never saw it. It's like, it's right there. It would help out. But whatever. He was okay. So we get all that done. And we wait an hour and a half for the room to be ready.
Oh, what do you do for an hour and a half in there? You just sit in the lobby and, gaze at the tree? Christmas tree, the giant tree that's in there?
And I'll tell you right now, this guy had to go to the bathroom. Really bad.
Did you find an appropriate place to do that, or did you wait until the room opened?
I did wait till the room.
Stuck it out. Okay.
And it was it's rough. It was really rough, I'll tell you that right now. And
but you get in there.
We're looking at the tree.
Was there any other hangups?
No, not really. I mean, we get in the room and there's like a housekeeper comes by and is like, okay, you guys ready to change rooms? And we're like, hey.
Well, we just got in there at that point, like the linen closet. Well, it's that if it's open.
And then Dad went down and tried to figure it out, and they're like, oh no, she just didn't know what she was talking about.
Of course.
I was like, okay, but she was really like pretty determined. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but we get in there. We're finally in the room. We got to take a look at the Christmas stuff, and that day is just about done because I fell asleep and I was exhausted.
So so the travel day, you didn't go in the park. Traveling only on that day. Okay.
Just
all
travel.
Right. So you turn in for the night. You get in the bed. You're nice and comfy in there. You wake up. Did you do like a magic morning the next day? Did you go in there? That special hour when not everybody can go in the park yet. Did you do that?
So we did leave the room a little for a little bit. There were some carolers down at the lobby in the tree. Just took a little look. The Grand Californian.
Were they singing traditional songs or maybe some new Christmas ones a lot of us haven't heard of?
I have no idea. We kind of caught the tail end.
Sure.
The gingerbread house of the Grand Californian was there. Looked nice.
Smelling good?
Yep, smelling good. And it's in the vlog. So yeah, the next day we left the hotel at 6:30 in the morning.
Okay, early birds.
So one of the other great things about this time of the year is the park is operating at high capacity. So the park times are great. So it's 8 to 12, not counting Magic Morning, which opens at 7. And California Adventure was something similar, always just like an hour shorter on the opening and closing time. All the rides were operating at full capacity, even though the park was not super crowded. So that was really great.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah, so we get there. It is freezing. It's freezing. It is cold.
What are you talking about? 50 degrees, 40s, 60s, somewhere in there?
I would say that it was in the mornings. I'm pretty sure at some point in the morning it was around like 47. It was really cold for LA-ish. It was cold that week. But then it warmed up decently in the morning and then into the afternoon. But it was cold.
LA's been getting they've been getting a wild amount of rain lately. Did it rain on you guys while you were there at all?
It said it was going to rain. Then about 3 days out, the rain disappeared, and we never got
classic chemtrails situation. But anyway, so that's good. So the first day, so we used to do this thing where you flew to Disneyland, different. But when we would drive, the first person to see the Matterhorn gets to pick the first ride. I don't know how often we actually stuck to it, but that was kind of the plan.
Yeah.
It's different when you fly in. So what was the first ride that you went to, given the Magic Morning and, the high capacity rides, but the, minimal crowds? What was the first thing you raced off to?
Well, the first thing is to look at the Christmas tree. See the Christmas lights, all that.
In your old age, instead of going to an attraction, you kind of take in this stuff on Main Street. I understand that.
Well, en route to a place, I just want to point out, you get the Christmas tree, you got all the decorations and stuff, then the castle with the snow on it. But we went through the castle, which I may point out, if you're going to go to Disneyland in your first day, you got to go into Disneyland. I would say it's best to go in the mornings as early as possible, so there's not a lot of
Hmm.
crowds. You can hear the background music. Everyone's excited.
Sure.
And try to like go into like under the castle, especially if it's like your first time, because that's a great way to start your day. We went on Pinocchio for our first ride.
Cool. Okay, so Pinocchio, same as you remember it. It's all they had some stuff painted. Maybe it was looking a little nicer this time.
Pinocchio is about the same as since its last refurbishment when they added a few extra like effects.
Okay.
But it's
Okay.
always good. I love the Fantasyland rides. They may be like the oldest thing in the park, but there's just something about those rides that have such a magical charm to them that a lot of new rides, big fancy things, sometimes still can't
Sure.
compete, even though they're just like plywood cutouts of things.
Yeah.
There's just something special about the Fantasyland dark ride. So we went on
And you went
Pinocchio.
on Snow White after Pinocchio, I hope.
Yep, Snow White. And
Is
then
it Snow White's Daring Journey or Scary
Scary,
Adventures? Okay.
I think.
Pinocchio, is it his Daring Journey? Maybe it's Pinocchio's
Maybe it's
Daring Journey.
yeah, something like
Okay,
that.
so scary thing. I saw the video in the vlog. You went in Snow White, and I was showing it to Dane, and we were laughing, having a good bit. And then the witch showed up, and he actually didn't seem phased. Now that might be different in real life, but yeah, he seemed to get through that fine. So no, you did a good job shooting the dark rides. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, there was a lot of footage. Unfortunately, it had to get cut. There was some other neat scenes, but it got cut unfortunately.
So you did that. I saw that you went on Peter Pan. Did that change anything funny in there?
Oh yeah, Peter Pan's the
Interesting.
ride that we haven't been on since it got its new effects, and
Okay.
yeah, there's lots of really cool things down on the clock tower. So the Big Ben, the big guy, the
Ben.
big tower,
Big
big
Ben
fella.
Healy. Yep.
You can see like a little tiny silhouettes of the characters on the clock hands jumping off and flying
Oh,
away. Really
okay.
subtle, like really cool.
Yeah.
Like that's what's special about Disney is those little tiny details that aren't always in your face.
Yeah. That's fun.
So that was cool. They changed the seventh star, whatever on the right, whatever. It used to be this weird thing you'd kind of like look through with mirrors. Now it's just a projection.
Yeah.
And the ride looked great. Like it looked
Okay.
it looked good. Not Shanghai after I just watched Shanghai.
Well, of course.
Oh my god. But the
Yeah,
ride looked
forget
great.
about it,
And
but
a couple new effects in there. The kids are a little bit different in the beginning. I think
okay.
they like put them up on the wall or something. Trying to think of anything
Huh.
else in there. Yeah, otherwise it was really good. Mr. Toad's is
Okay.
a disappointment as always, being that it doesn't
Well,
have.
did you stop at the city hall?
I always
To
do.
mention something. I know you always talk about this, but like, yeah, it is kind of a disappointment that a ride like Mr. Toad's does not seem like this would be that hard to have an accommodating vehicle, something that opens up a little differently, just so that you can get on that ride. It's the craziest. You know who loves that ride? Tony Baxter. You would think maybe we write a letter to Baxter. Look, we've a couple of guys, we love this ride. Like maybe, he can put in a good word, or he can we can talk to somebody in engineering, because they need an ADA ride, like something for something for people to get into. It's a fantastic ride. It's so crazy. It's so weird. Everybody wants to go on it. It's just
Yeah.
it's too bad that you weren't able to get on it.
Yeah. And of course, Alice in Wonderland, that does have
Yep.
an accessible piece of a vehicle. It's not like
Okay.
fully accessible, but it's like half, so it's great.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um,
like a couple legs, like a leg is hanging out, but it's fine.
Yeah. So you get on there. I like Alice in Wonderland. I wish I could have gone on it again.
Yeah.
Always enjoyed that ride, especially the outdoor portion. Not
It's
as
a
good
fun
as
one
it
at
used to
night.
be, but
No, when you used to be able to go on those leaves and it looked like you were going to fall off, and they're made out of fiberglass, they're probably wobbling anyway. Like it did kind of
so
change.
cool.
It doesn't. You don't have that risky feeling when you're up at the top anymore. But it's still, it's okay.
Yeah, people have to ruin everyone's fun. But so went on that. That's good. I love Dumbo. Like Dumbo is so good now because they took the queue out of the pathways and they put it off to the side. They have like an awning over the top. They changed the colors. And they got like, the music's playing in there. Like it's such an improvement for Dumbo. It's
This
great.
was did this do you think they had so there's three questions here. Like, did they do this because they have a Dumbo movie coming out starring Danny DeVito, or did they do it because it just needed to be repainted? Or third, did they need to do this to adjust for the crowd control, create less of a bottleneck there, given the crowds that they're about to see here with the Star Wars Land, Galaxy's Edge, and all that good stuff?
It's the third one.
The third one, the Galaxy's Edge. Okay, that's what I thought. I mean, they are predicting 200,000 people there on opening day. I mean, that's bonkers, but I've heard that number. People have been tossing it around, probably just for fun, but I mean, I can't even imagine. So
Yeah, and yeah. So the reason they did this was because of crowds, and it's part of something that Disney just like released a large article in the LA Times about it being called like, what's it called, like Project Stardust, which is hilarious because that's a reference to like Star Wars and like the big gun on the on the Death Star. I'm not even sure they realized that maybe, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, what they did was they took out some planters, so some like, decorative planters around the area.
And you never want to see the foliage go, but maybe if they have a
know.
way of repurposing it a little bit, they can kind of make up for it.
Yeah, it's rough to see some areas that have had their planters removed or scaled way back. But in the end, I think they did it as best they could, and I think they did a good job. Like, I was fully ready to like criticize them on that for like getting rid of something that makes Disneyland unique from all the other parks. But I think they did a really good job on it. And I do have to give them especially good credit for what they've done in the hub, especially over time, is like they did scale back the trees. They did scale back some of the planters in that area, but they still maintain the trees in those areas. So there's still the trees, there's still the planters. Whereas like Disney World, they just cut them all down. It's just this huge flat place. And it's like, ugh.
Nobody wants to see that, but
No.
Florida, funny place. But
Yeah.
okay, so that's good. At least they were able to like kind of maintain some of that because yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just anytime you start taking out the plants, taking out the trees, there's a lot of critters that call that home, but it's got to throw it off a little bit. Do they still have all the they have all the animals that are cut into shapes? The bushes are cut into shapes, or is that more over by Small World, I think.
Yeah, they did have to move some of those because they did the same thing they did with Dumbo's line with Small World. We can get that to when we get to Small World, but
Yeah, sure.
they did move the Dumbo like topiary and a few other things. But it's just nice. Like that whole area is just cleaned up and it's way more efficient to walk through that area, that back end of Fantasyland now. If you were going to go to Thunder Mountain from the back of Fantasyland, like that area is much more open than it used to be. And it does help a lot.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did that. You did your Fantasyland stuff. Did you give it a little tug on the sword and the stone? Check it out. See
we didn't.
if you're worthy. No,
Not
okay.
worthy. So
Not
after
worthy.
that, the park opened. Park opened
Casey
up.
Junior Train. Did you get on a storybook? Is any of that? No. Okay.
All closed
So
still.
so the park opens. The people are flooding in. Bathrooms or.
So what I wanted to do was go back near Star Wars Land. So take the back Fantasyland entrance into Thunder Mountain, that what I was just talking about being a little bit more efficient since they kind of opened that area up a little more. Seeing the absence of the Skyway station was a little sad.
Mm-hmm.
Say that. It's pretty sad. But seeing the area leading into Star Wars Land was really cool to see that. So excited about it. Way different back on Big Thunder Mountain Trail with the whole like Disneyland Railroad now above you and the beautiful rocks they built in that area. Then Dad went on Thunder Mountain, so he went on that. And then
How did he do? He liked it. He thought it was good.
Yep.
Still a good time.
He talked about it being an important ride, one of his faves.
Okay.
And then we worked our way down to Orleans Square. So this is pretty much like 8:10 maybe at this point. So it's still real early.
8:10, folks, for non-military time.
So we worked our way around and then we went on Haunted Mansion Holiday, and that's always fun. Like such a fun ride.
Do you ever get a little bit bummed that I feel like every time we're at Disneyland, it's always
Haunted Mansion
Skellington has taken over the place. There's pumpkins everywhere, and it's like, can I ever just see the mansion and it's intended, its original glory, but I guess it's just not meant to be.
Yeah, at this point, I really want to see the original Haunted Mansion. It was kind of cool seeing it during Christmas, but if we went in like September,
amazing.
I would be like, oh, come on.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, because you want to go at kind of the end of the summer. You want to go like around Labor Day. They're already starting to deck it out for Halloween, and then it extends a little ways into Christmas. So, but so you went on the Haunted Mansion Holiday. It was pretty good. You had a good time. Was it? Now, if I remember right, sometimes on that ride, the line can get very long. But even the the wheelchair access or that ADA line that's off to the right side over by the the horse-drawn hearse over there. Sometimes that line can be longer than the other one just because of how much time it takes, to send some people in. But was it a pretty good experience? Did you find yourself that you guys were backed up for a long time?
They did the wheelchair line so smoothly this time compared to previous times. I mean,
Hey, okay.
we went through some like absolute nightmares in the past of going on this attraction where we waited like 45 minutes or longer when the line was only like 15 minutes or something. And remember some of those times we waited there forever, and especially
you'd watch people from the end of the line get all the way up and into the mansion, while you're still posted up outside.
Like it was a long time, and it was longer than the standard standby line.
Exactly.
And the reason was at one point they would only allow one group of wheelchairs into the mansion at a time. Apparently that's not a thing anymore because they were running everybody in and out and in and out, and it was crazy. And it was so efficient. I think everything was so much better, and it was really enjoyable. As a wheelchair person, you go on the ride. You get to go back to the loading area, then you get to go back up the stretching room portraits. So it's quite an adventure going on the Haunted Mansion, and always one of my favorites. And I'm trying to think, what did we do after that? Oh, we went on the train.
But so, just for people that might be listening to this, so you go through the ride and you get to that very end where everybody's unloading the vehicles after the hitchhiking goes, and you see the little Leota as you go up the hill. You don't go up the hill. You stay in the Doom buggy.
Yeah.
You turn, kind of a little U-turn action, and you go behind the scenes. Is pitch black back there? Or can you see anything? You see any behind the scenes, like Madame Leota taking a break, having a bag of Cheetos or something? But is there anything back there? Can you see any effects or anything? They really try to, you can't see much, right?
No, there's under the Doom buggies, like it's pretty much like a catwalk under there. There's lights under there that kind of light it up, so you can kind of see some like weird stuff under there.
Yeah, maybe some wrenches or some tools. An oil can or something.
And then on like not looking down through that little hole in the floor, but on your left side is a big black curtain, and on the other side of that, maybe they run the Doom buggies through there. Maybe that's where they do maintenance or clean them. I'm not sure. But I do know there's a cast member back there, like watching cameras and manning the controls.
Isn't it crazy? So you go through this whole long ride and you get to the very end. And then, because I've been on with you, as we go back, and you get to the end of the ride, and then you're going to go this behind the scenes thing so that the Doom buggy can get back to the original loading area. Yeah. And then you're back to the loading area in like 30 seconds. It's like,
it's really
however
quick.
They have that looped is really good. I remember the first time doing that, I was like, hey, we're going to get to chill back here for a little bit, maybe more chances of seeing something funny, but all of a sudden you're back to the loading area. It's just, the way that it loops and everything. It's so crazy that you're already back there, right off, get the exit and the entrance. What I'm trying to say, the exit and the entrance, they're actually really close to each other.
Yeah. And like I said, they were really efficient, and there were some crazy stories of other people on the ride messing things up pretty hardcore one day, but let's go
to it's going to be that way.
It was rough.
So you mentioned this stood out, and I know that you love trains. I know you love trains, but you made a claim by saying that the ride that you most wanted to do this trip was the train.
Yeah.
Like the train standard, goes around. Yeah, it's a big deal, but train goes around. But that was the thing you looked forward to more than cars, more than anything else. You want to go on the train. Why is that? What's that all about?
Since we were last there, they cut the Rivers of America in like 25% of it disappeared. The train then was rerouted, so now you kind of like go over the river, so you're like way above the river now.
Okay, like on a trestle or something, or how do they have you? How does that work?
Yeah, there's little bridges and waterfalls and rock, and the Rivers of America is so cool once you pass Hungry Bear. And
did they add more animals or like structures, or is it pretty much all like kind of like what do you call that when you play Minecraft? Like terraforming. It's mostly like, natural things like rocks and, like you said, waterfalls.
It's probably mostly that. They did move and rebuild the settler's cabin.
The one that's on fire, that's burning?
Well, it's not burned anymore, unfortunately.
Uncle Zeke's old place, yeah, okay.
But they put it up on like kind of like a bluff, which looks kind of cool. Okay. They moved the Native American village a little bit. The guy who does like the stories, he's kind of gets real animated. They put him up on this big rock. So he's just kind of talking to himself up there, but
he's the Indian chief. He's up there. He's on a horse or something, right?
There's the Indian chief, but then there's the guy talking about the flute and the music and stuff.
Oh,
That guy.
yeah. Okay.
Which is
That
weird
guy.
because he's talking, but he's not really talking to like his people where he was before. He's just kind of hanging out up on the
He's just
rock.
carrying on. Yeah.
He just kind of got
Been a
lost.
long day.
And
Yeah.
so he's up there. But when you cross through Hungry Bear, like go past it, you get a great view of the rocks from Star Wars Land. And then once you've got out of the river, you're way up in the air still. And you can like see like Big Thunder Mountain. You can see the ride vehicles like where you never could have seen them before moving around. So there's
That's
so
awesome.
many awesome things to see from up there. And then that's when you take your right turn. So the trains never, is it right turns they never make?
Yeah. It's
Or
always
left turns?
no,
Or
no. They never make always rights.
yeah, so whatever. It makes the other turns. So then it's like, whoa, this is crazy. And then you go into this other area where there's this kind of like a desert area they kind of made.
Okay.
That's new. And then you go into a tunnel and then it goes back to kind of normal, by Small World and into Tomorrowland. They did change a couple effects in the tunnel with the dinosaurs and the Grand Canyon. There's a couple new effects in there that are nice, but yeah, it was fun. Like the train is fun. Seeing some of that stuff in Rivers of America is really cool. It makes you really hope that they'll add some of that stuff, more things to do on the train eventually.
Okay. I like it. I think that again, I found it surprising because of course everybody, a lot of people anyway, are interested in the thrill rides and even, some of the classics, which the train is. But the train almost seems like more of a transportation thing, kind of a means to an end. You take it to get over to a different area rather than walking.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people don't view it as an attraction itself, which it certainly is. So that was nice to hear.
Yeah, and I think it's become more of an attraction with this addition to it for people who are, wanting a little more action. Because, there's lots of cool stuff. There's a part where you go through Small World. But
I like
think
that part.
I think it would be really cool if they added some more show scenes, even at Adventureland. Like take down that berm a little bit, let you see into the Jungle Cruise. I'm sure there's like a spot where they could bring down the hill, maybe knock a tree down or two there, and you could maybe even get a little peek into a Jungle Cruise. That'd be
cool.
I'd like that. Yeah.
It looked like you guys went on Jungle Cruise, so you made it in there.
Yep. Went on Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise was good. Everything was looking good.
Good
we only went on it once.
Were the jokes original, or is anything new? Did you hear any new puns?
The driver was she was fine. She was there. It wasn't like anything really like new or anything. The last Jungle Cruise skipper that we had was really, really good.
Okay, tough to measure up.
Way back then, that's also on a vlog. Lots of good jokes. I noticed that when she tried to shoot the hippo, there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm in it. I feel like you gotta get jazzed up to shoot the hippos. And
yeah, I remember that in your vlog. You almost took kind of an aggressive, almost like a poacher tone about that, making sure you were aimed right at the head.
Yeah, jeez.
But I mean, hippos can be very aggressive and very dangerous. People don't think about that.
Very
sometimes.
territorial.
You were on the Jungle Cruise, and you know this. A lot of people know this. What former Pixar executive was a Jungle Cruise skipper in his day?
Big
Lasseter. Yep, John Lasseter. I just saw it. If you guys get a chance, and I don't want to interrupt, Netflix has a really cool documentary, The Pixar Story, and it really kind of skims. It's fairly short. I watched it the other day, but it's really nice. It's a great documentary. It's excellent. So you get a chance, you go on Netflix, find this documentary. After you watch, Fire Festival, go over and watch you want to see something nice and actually, like kind of motivating or uplifting, you'll watch The Pixar Story. It's really interesting and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really good.
So yeah, Lasseter was a skipper. Other people were skippers. There's been some notable skippers. I don't think Steve Martin ever did it. He used to work in the joke shop, the magic shop on on Main Street. But yeah, there's been some good guys in there. Okay, so you went on Jungle Cruise. Anything else? You didn't get a chance to go on Indiana Jones, I don't think.
No. I think Dad went on Indiana Jones. I think Mom and I waited. He went on that. And I think after that we went over to California Adventure. Big old Adventureland. Big old California Adventure. So after that, we went over to ride Radiator Springs. It was broken. So Mom and Dad ate at Flo's. And then
what is at Flo's? Don't they have like mashed potatoes and like spare ribs or something? Like
they did.
It seems like it's a little different fare than some of the other eating establishments at California Adventure.
Yeah, they had some of that stuff. Now it's just kind of boring stuff. It's just like
Just like
sandwiches and
hot dogs and the sandwiches. And
yeah,
everything.
they
Oh, that's
kind
too
of just
bad. They
gave
used to
up.
have a very specific meal plan over there, different menu.
Yeah, because it was very much on that like Route 66 diner.
A diner. You're at
fare.
a diner. Yeah.
But the restaurant's
That's too
nice.
bad.
The best views in the park, looking out over the ride and all that. It started going while we were eating, and then I heard this kind of faint PA system, and I was thinking, you know what?
Busted.
That's probably the ride breaking down again. And we went out, and it was broken. So after that, we were like, you know what? It's time to take a nap. So we went back to the hotel, took ourselves a bit of a nap. And
you recommend the naps. You even in the vlog, you brought the fact up as, especially for people, maybe it's their first trip or maybe it's your 80th trip, but you're there a lot. It's important to take that nap because it keeps you from getting grouchy. Take a load off if you're staying at one of the neighboring hotels or most of the hotels around there. You can go for a swim, hop in the pool. It's good to take those breaks. Keep a good attitude.
Yep.
Stay fresh.
Very much. By the time we, I think after that, once we started getting going again, it was already getting dark. It gets dark so early, and
it really does.
So it was nice to see some of the lights again in the park because prior times we've gone to Disneyland, the park closed at like 8 and 10 o'clock, so you didn't always get a lot of nighttime action.
And isn't it a different experience at night?
Oh,
I was just telling this to Dane the other day because we were watching footage, so he's about to go to Disney World and they're trying to decide right now, are they going to go to Hollywood Studios because there's a lot of Pixar stuff there, which he likes. They're going to go to the Magic Kingdom. I'm telling him Magic Kingdom because, I don't want to get too much into this, but he went on his very first roller coaster yesterday. Pretty big deal, like a real roller coaster, like legit roller coaster. And so I'm excited for him to go on the Snow White mine train. And normally a 3-year-old, he's about to be 4 in, a couple of weeks, would not be able to go on some of these rides, especially the roller coaster yesterday, but he is a big dude. He's a tall guy. So I want him to go on the mine train because I haven't been on it yet. I haven't been on the Snow White's mine thing. So I want him to go over there. But I was also explaining to him because there were 2 videos of that ride. If you go on YouTube, there's 2 4K videos of it. One of them is during the day and one of them is at night. Like dramatically different experiences on nighttime rides in Disneyland. And it doesn't matter if it's a thrill ride or if it's the train or if it's something like that. Like you can really have the 2 dueling, experiences. They're pretty cool. So did you experience that? You went on some stuff at night with all the lights?
Yeah, that'd be Cars. Once we made it back into the park, because we took we took a decent nap. I think Dad maybe went in the pool and all, and when we made it back, it was getting dark, and by the time we made it to Cars, it was dark, and Cars is so much fun when it's dark out. It's a great transition into the show building because once you're in the show building, it's nighttime. It's kind of weird when dark, it's like daytime, and then you transition into the nighttime scenes.
Yeah.
But it's great at night, and especially Thunder Mountain. I didn't go on Thunder Mountain, but that's a good one. Can I
test out an impression on the crowd here? I've been working on this one for a little while. So I'm sheriff, and I'm pulling you over.
Okay.
Slow down. You're not racing yet.
That's good. I like it.
And then he goes in, like follow Mater into town. I would have done that too, but I just, I don't know. So so at night, you went on Cars. Did you win the race? You got second place?
We did. We won.
Respectable second.
We won.
You won.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was really good.
What are the lines like at night at Radiator Springs this time? People are going time. You guys are in the middle of the month. Like what, or the 10th or something like that. So like what were the lines like?
I'll tell you this. The Fast Pass line was longer than a standby line, and I noticed that throughout the trip. And in some cases, I'm like, is it longer? Or is it just backed up outside of the queue? And I'm thinking, what is going on? And the 2 things that I have like thought in my head is that the new way that fast passes work with like phones and stuff like that, people are struggling. People aren't getting their phones out in time, and it's backing the fast pass lines way back. And then once you get scanned in, you get in there, and it's still a long line compared to the past. And my only thought is that potentially they've allocated more fast passes now that they have that max pass service. That's like a monetary thing where you can pay to get, the max pass system. So my thought is that, they added more fast passes to the mix. So there's more people utilizing fast pass, making those lines longer. And then you couple that with the fact that people don't really know how to work the system with like their phones, getting them onto the scanner and stuff like that. It's quite an ordeal, and the cast members don't have a lot of patience.
Mm-hmm.
My first time using the phone, I put my phone in. I think I put it like sideways because the barcode has to scan like horizontal, not vertical.
Okay.
Which seems kind of strange. Like it wouldn't just be like programmed, or like the scanner can't like do both. But the cast member was like sarcastic. It's like, turn it around, man. It's like, this is my first time doing this. Like, don't need that attitude. But anyway, like it was just kind of like, come on, guy. Like, I get it that you probably get annoyed by like people, you know, goofing up every time, but you don't have to give it to somebody who's never done it before. Sure. So yeah, it was just strange to see the fast pass lines in a lot of different attractions, looking like they were longer than the standby lines. It was crazy. Yeah. I'd never seen that before.
You were one of the offenders, and but you can recognize that, admit to it. That's good.
Yeah. So
you went on that. You went on Cars at Night. Did you do anything else over there?
I think we did before we went over to Disneyland.
Are they still running Is World of Color still in full effect over there, or what's going on with that?
No, World of Color is still down. Like it's
still down. Okay.
Still cool. No idea what's going on.
Okay, so you did that. Crowds. What about so that's the crowds kind of in the line and how people are behaving. But what are like the streets of Radiator Springs and then out into the rest of California Adventure and on your way back to Disneyland? Did you notice, are there a lot of people like lounging around and being really casual about the place, or is people kind of rushing, or is it just manageable? You know, it's not too bad.
Yeah. So if I remember right, we pretty much just went on Cars, and then we made our way back to Disneyland. I didn't really have a lot, not that I didn't have a lot of fun, but I didn't like California Adventure as much this trip. I'll get into one of the other reasons later, but they had this whole like holiday to the festival thing. So they had all these like food booths, like up on like all the food
truck kind of situation, or
they were like these little wood huts, and people were.
What's that? What kind of food? Like corn dogs, gourmet corn dogs, or what do they have at these?
It was just a lot of different foods and stands. Yeah. It just made the pathways really crowded, and people were like just wild and like they're throwing things, and it was just really hard to navigate around those areas. And I mean, it looked like people were having a good time, but that was not at all for me. So like, I didn't really care for that. But once you get back into Disneyland,
suit yourself.
It was great. You know, you had all the Christmas music, the lights were going. Very crowded in Main Street, you know, with the tree and stuff. But once you get outside of there, then it wasn't too bad. And I think we went on the train again. We went on Haunted Mansion again. Then we
Pirates. Did you get on Pirates? See what those guys were doing?
No, we never went on Pirates this trip, unfortunately. What? Yeah.
Well, that's hard to believe, but okay.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. And then we went on Small World, which I really liked. Like, it was really, really cool. Seeing all the Christmas stuff, and there another attraction that they were like really efficient with the wheelchairs. Like, I feel like the cast members and like procedures have gotten a lot better in the recent years than it used to be. Like they were just right on it. Like, just get you right on there. Not a lot of like, you know, like confusion anymore. So it was really nice to see that. So they did great. Small World's queue is much different. It's laid out completely different now. And
they used to kind of have those two separate lines, you know, and sometimes they'd only be running the one line, sometimes both. Like, it always seemed like they were prepared to handle a line of, you know, like a 3-hour wait, which always seemed bonkers to me. But how is it different? Is it better or worse or the same?
They can have a bigger line now because, you know, in the like Christmas time, I looked at the wait times on like Christmas. It was basically 2 hours. You know, everybody wants to go on the Christmas ride, you know, and
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, they did it much better. It's more efficient getting onto the ride vehicles. That was really nice. And trying to think what else we did. I think that was pretty much it. Probably missing a few things, but we headed back to the hotel for a little snooze.
So did you, did you find yourself going over to Tomorrowland to try to get on Star Tours or no?
Well, the next day, we start that out at California Adventure.
Okay.
So next day we start at California Adventure. First thing I wanted to do was kind of walk around a little bit and just see the park without the crowd. So we got some good shots of Cars Land. We go on Midway Mania. Midway Mania was a little too much for my mom. Like, made her really kind of dizzy. So
it can be like that way.
So once we finished up with that ride, she wanted to try to hang in there a little bit. So we went on to Monsters. I always like that ride.
Yep.
It's a good ride.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, feel good ride.
Yeah, and then after that, she started feeling a little bit better. Dad went on Guardians of the Galaxy. He liked it a lot.
You said that Dad had a good time on Guardians of the Galaxy. What's the actual name of the ride?
Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, the longest name ever.
Yeah, so it's pretty extensive. It takes up my favorite hotel. But it sounded like he had a good time. What did he think? What did he like so much about it? He liked the theming. What was he liked the actual attraction itself? Maybe both. Did he have anything specific?
Well, he missed the raccoon, so he didn't really get to see him too well in the pre-show. He liked the drop sequences better, he said. I think he said that it made him less dizzy than the old versions.
Okay.
The old versions, it felt like they were more of a drop. I guess these ones are more of kind of like up and down, kind of like they're more haphazard than like just straight like drop and then up. So he liked that quite a bit more. While he was on that, Mom and I, we went into the kind of collectible shop that's in the Hollywood backlot. And that's where I laid my eyes on the Haunted Mansion clock and a few other things that I liked quite a bit. So
where can people see? So I've seen the clock. I've been fortunate enough. I got a text message of it. But where can other people see this clock? It is amazing. It's just like the detail, and it's the perfect thing.
I'm gonna shoot a couple shots of it and put it on Instagram soon.
There you go. Check out his Instagram. It's really cool. So you found that at California Adventure. That's funny.
Yeah. Then I got then I picked it up at the Disney Anna or former Disney Anna shop.
As you would, later on. Of course. What other stuff did they have there? Did they have any? Was it all Haunted Mansion? Was it kind of a mixture of? Was it more like collectibles? It's kind of the snazzy stuff. Yeah,
there was a lot of collectibles. Paintings. It's their kind of off the page shop in the back lot. So lots of portraits, things along those lines. And then after that, Mom was still a little bit not feeling super great, so she wanted to go take a shower, kind of lay down for a little bit. So. We dropped her off back at the hotel, and then Dad and I went back out, and we went on Soaring Over the World. So that's changed from Soaring Over California.
How was it? I've been wondering. You loved it. You loved it. Okay.
I still wish that they would do like a domestic international, where it was like domestic. They played the old film, the new one they play. Okay. I think that would be really cool if they split that in half, called it that. But anyway,
that would be nice. What was there? I don't want to give away because I kind of want to experience it myself. But of the world scenes, of these new scenes, if for those of you who have only done Soarin' Over California, what was one world scene that you really enjoyed, really stood out to you?
Somehow they made it the ability to smell dirt when these elephants were getting wild. Taj Mahal was kind of cool. I thought the Disneyland scene was really cool.
Said too much. You said too much. All right, that's good.
So then after that, Dad and I made our way down, rode cars again. Always enjoyed that ride. We rode that, and then I think.
So does that mean? So did you guys do 2 night rides of cars?
This is in the day still.
Oh, this is okay, because that's the one. Is that the one that we see? We see the footage on. Blog on YouTube?
Yeah, we rode it 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah, we got on that one a few times.
And that's a thrill ride. So you were shaken up afterwards, or you felt okay?
I feel all right. And then we went back again to pick up Mom. So that, and this was actually, it did take quite a little while to go like to Soarin'. Waited in the line there for a little bit. It was about a 30-minute wait, and then make our way down to Cars. That we had a fast pass for that, so it wasn't super long. But by the time I made it back, kind of hanged out for a little bit in the hotel, and then they had their reservations for the Cathay Circle Theater. And then when we made it through security, one of those security guys was like, "Hey, you just keep coming through." And I'm like, "Well, that's what this is for." It was just kind of like, are you joking around, or are you upset? I'm not 100% sure here.
So he was being funny with you, or he's being kind of a little bit of a jab?
I don't know. I kind of felt like it was Iger trying to be funny on Twitter and it not really working out. This guy needed to work on his jokes.
Was older, kind of like a refined, older distinguished gentleman.
Yeah,
Ah, classic. Okay, yeah, they can be tough with those guys. So, all right, so he gave you a bad time, but he didn't. But it was confusing.
it was confusing.
And how was the meal at Carthay Circle? People who haven't been there, what's on the
Oh
menu? What do people
gosh.
like there?
I don't know. I don't know what's on the menu. I didn't really look. I was enjoying the place. That place is incredible inside. So you go inside. There's a lot of like, it's a huge annual passport like hangout spot, like down in like the lower area. And
I had a beverage there one time. I liked it.
yeah, so it's kind of like a bar. I think you can order some cocktail type things there. Huge, like I said, huge annual passport hangout zone. So then eventually, like a waiter will come down to you and they'll bring you upstairs.
Okay.
So the person was super nice. She came down, brought us up.
She took your order.
And she's like, and I'm gonna put you in the Snow White room. So that's the main dining room. And you look up, there is this entire ceiling is covered in a Snow White like forest scene, like hand painted. It's just like that restaurant is just beautiful. There's all these little offshoot rooms.
I've never been in the restaurant area, only downstairs, only in the the brew pub.
Yeah, and then the upstairs there's like a bathroom for the restaurant, but I was watching like all these like annual passporters, kind of sneak up the stairs, go to that bathroom and sneak out. A lot of
unwashed,
The unwashed.
Coming up.
But they know where these little places are. Like it's a nicer bathroom, so they're all like.
That's cool. Good for them, I guess.
But the problem is there's so many of them that it was like this constant stream, and there was a cast member like eventually started like blocking people off. It was a whole thing. It was quite a bathroom ordeal. But anyway, it was interesting watching that. And then looked around the place, looked really nice, and then we headed out from there and back to the room for a little bit. Because we wanted to get ready for later today. We don't have a lot of energy. So then we came back. So
that was like kind of like lunch hour. That was lunchtime, you think? Afternoon, late lunch?
Yeah. So late lunch. Then we go back into the park. We go on Mermaid. Mermaid broke down at Ursula. We were there for like 25 minutes, so we got to see Ursula a lot.
Did the music stay on, or like what happened?
Yeah, she did her loop like 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Which was
Didn't a man do Ursula's voice? Kind of curious. Like a gentleman initially, at least with the Little Mermaid movie. I think a man did Ursula.
Yeah, I don't know who the character or who the voice actor was.
Oh, just curious.
Yeah, and then we went on Cars again.
Okay, again, did Cars. What's the ride now? Don't they still have that tractor spin thing that's over there? They took that out, or they still have that?
They still have that. They got rid of the tires.
The Jamboree, the Jubilee thing over there.
Yeah, they have that still. Then we went over to Disneyland. Went on the Haunted Mansion again. Sometimes there's not a lot of rides that I can go on. So we went on that. We on the train, and then my dad started feeling really bad, and we had to head back.
Now so from what I can tell and the way I hear about this, and I don't know if other people are getting the same impression. You are circumnavigating the parks and that kind of like little strip where you get back into the hotel, quite a bit. Did you have the magic wheel on the wheelchair? That's the kind of assist, the little wheel that kind of jets you along?
Yep.
And was it helpful? Did you find it to be helpful?
Yeah, it was great in a lot of places to help, like, so my dad didn't have to push me too much. It did disconnect a lot, which was a really big pain.
Like it just fell off and it went down the walkway, or it would stop, like it wasn't propelling you anymore?
It wasn't propelling. So that was kind of a pain. Need to figure out how to fix that. But yeah, we got on a lot of stuff. We did pretty good as much as everybody's just falling apart. We also went through Toontown. Didn't go on any rides, but we did kind of look at all the Christmas decorations. There's some of the most unique decorations are in Toontown of all the Christmas decorations.
Like what would be an example of that? What's different over there?
Well, each facade has its own decoration, whereas in Main Street, they all just have the basic garland. But in Toontown, the camera store, it's not really, it's like a facade of a camera store. The garland has cameras and they're flashing. The bank has, like piggy banks with money coming out of
That's fun. Okay.
Things like that. Like Goofy's has these weird oversized things, and it's really cool. So that was fun. Didn't get to go on Star Tours.
That's too bad. Okay. And no Space Mountain? You didn't go on Space Mountain?
No Space Mountain.
Okay,
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
sneak you on there. I'm gonna sneak you on there one of these days. One of these days we're gonna get you in there.
but
Pack you
yeah,
all around, get some bubble wrap on the side, but we'll get you on that ride one of these days.
but it was good.
Good.
It was a good trip. We all had a lot of fun, and so the next day we packed ourselves all up, and I had a slightly later flight because I thought it'd be easier to get up a little later. I probably
Hindsight.
probably would have had a later flight because when we got to we won't get there too soon, but the checkout was at 11, but we had to wait about an hour or more, maybe 2 hours for the car because I had scheduled it.
Okay.
So we had to wait a little while. We wanted to go to downtown Disney, but the line for people to check their bags at the bellhop so we could go, in downtown Disney was this gigantic line. So we were just like, forget it. But then it turned out that line actually went really quick, and then it was like too late. So
one of those.
I think sometimes at certain times of the day at that hotel, like their services are just crushed. Like the desk, the bellhop, like it just gets reil wild at some of the.
Do they need more staff, or is it that's just going to be the way it is? Like how, they already have so many people running around.
I don't know. I know in the rooms they had a 25% off any food establishment as an apology for slower services. So maybe they
recognized that. They knew that it was a little bit abnormal as far as how long you were waiting for different things.
It must have been based on them acknowledging that, like in all the rooms, like I guess they had a 25% off a meal on us for our apologies for slow service.
So that was 25% is fine, but maybe you want like some free chicken fingers or something. I don't know. The percentages, I think, I don't know. You appreciate it, but it's it's the least they could do, kind of thing. So you didn't end up. What were you going to look for in downtown Disney? You were looking for a new pair of Crocs, or what was over there?
No, just look around. They fixed up downtown Disney's Disney World of Disney store, but we did go in there real quick one day.
They have a new restaurant over there. What's the new restaurant?
Oh, they got a few new ones like Ballast Point and Naples.
Ballast Point. That's right. Ballast Point.
Completely renovated. It's got the scary hand wall.
Sandwich came back. People can now get those delightful sandwiches over there, which is nice. I love them. Okay, so they're over there. Did you ever go over to the Disneyland Hotel, see what was going on over there?
Nope, never made it over to the Disneyland Hotel this trip.
Okay, that's fine. So when the car did come, when you guys were ready to make that, the sad departure, Barry picked you up or someone else, a friend of his?
Another person, friend.
Okay.
So this person was waiting out there. Once again, I walked up there. I'm like, Ryan, picking up, and she just kind of like, Ryan. Oh yeah. Are you Ryan? Yes.
Okay.
And then we got in there. So this car didn't have like the automatic like seat back thing, so it took him a while to put the seat back so we could get the wheelchair in. But Dad's in there just like throwing stuff around and getting wild, and eventually we get in there. It's all good. We pack up. We drive away. I noticed something that's interesting. This person made a lot of mentions about being a native LA person, like that. She was born and raised here, not like all these people who come like from like the East Coast or whatever.
Maybe that's the thing. There's a lot of places where people are really proud to be from that area, and there's so many transplants. I think that's that way. Honestly, I think that's that way for a lot of cities.
I noticed that in Los Angeles.
Rare to find natives. Yeah,
I noticed that. It was not the first person here. It kind of mentioned, I was actually born and raised here.
Yeah,
and it's like I know a lot of people from Los Angeles, and not a single one lived there. They all moved from some other place in the country. So I think it's a bit of a pride. So she was talking about how
a little badge of honor.
Now she knew the freeways better than anyone and all this stuff. But she was great.
Did it take her 19 minutes to get back to the airport, or was she took her time?
It was about the same. There was almost no traffic.
That's impressive. You guys were in the carpool lane, I'm sure.
Yeah, but just generally there was just no traffic on this trip. It was insane. Like going to E3 and different events like that, there have been some serious traffic, and there was nothing on this trip. It was crazy. But yeah, we get to the airport. A Delta person had a bit of an attitude with me. We were originally scheduled.
You want to name names? Was there a name on the ID on the?
I didn't notice, but we were originally always scheduled for Terminal 3. It was switched that day to Terminal 2. And I get up there and she asked me, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Hey, we're going to Portland,
Pacific, the Great Northwest,
the big Portlandia." And she goes, "Terminal 3." And I'm like, hey, and I'm like, "Oh, the phone says terminal," and she just keeps.
But you promised Terminal 2.
And I'm like, well, no, it's Terminal 2, and she's like, she just goes, no. And I'm like, I show her it's Terminal 2 on my ticket. And I'm like, we need to check in here. And she goes, just this one time, I'll let you. And I'm like,
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do here, because, like in these situations, like you don't want to like push anything because like I feel like they'll tell you that, like make up something like you're threatening them or something. I'm like,
now it turns into a whole thing, and you know.
So you try to be like as nice as possible and as like I'm like, oh, and I'm just kind of like squeezed past her.
You're like, hey, you're not providing some kind of accommodation to me. Like you were assigned this terminal, you're going to this terminal. Hey, there's just this once you can go to the actual terminal where your flight.
I think it was that she was wrong. She was wrong, and she didn't want to admit it. Anyway, we get up to the counter, and the person couldn't be nicer. She gets us all checked in. This guy just flies out of nowhere, and he's ready to help us wheel away. And I was like, this is great.
And that's one thing we've noticed, we've noticed at LAX is that the staff that gets you on and off the plane and does that kind of stuff, they're so dialed in and they're so helpful.
Oh, on the way to LA, they got me off that seat like a Aladdin's a carpet. It was amazing.
And they gave you a foot rub, and they do all that they do a lot of nice stuff there for you. So it's a little different than some of the other airports.
So this guy, he gets us there. We get through TSA pretty easy. And then, man, like it's our flight then got delayed like an hour and a half. And then it was like
Blessed
2 hours.
be those who sit and wait.
And it was a long one. It ended up being a little over 2 hours. It kept going like half an hour, and then it was going to be an hour. It was because there was just fog in San Francisco, and the plane couldn't take off. So we waited and waited and waited. We went through 3 gate agents, and each one then forgot about pre-boarding me and getting the aisle chair. And then eventually, like we got that settled with the last guy, so he knew. And then we get up there. And it is just like, get on that plane as fast as possible because, it was delayed. And I have like so many like medical bags, like the oxygen concentrator,
batteries, the concentrator,
the feeding bag, pump, all this stuff. And the gate agent, like, because my dad disappeared into the plane.
Well, you have that one bag that's it's full of Rice Krispie treats. So you have all these bags you're trying to get loaded on.
I don't have Rice Krispie treats. And he's just like, oh well. And he takes the bags and he just like dumps them on my lap. And I'm in the aisle chair. So this is a really like chair that could tip over. Now I'm holding on to this, and it's on a 7.
And these are also really, really heavy bags.
This is like a 35-pound oxygen concentrator.
Plus these gigantic batteries and everything, and the Rice Krispie treats. So there's a lot of stuff on your lap right now. And it's just like all of a sudden he sets this stuff down and he asks you a question. And your voice is, it sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks. It's so high pitched because you're being squished. And
then the feeding bag goes on there, and it's like, and then then trying to get onto like the 717's a small plane. The gate, the ramp going up was about a foot different. It was like a full step from the jetway onto the plane.
Wow.
So this poor guy that was, assisting me onto the plane. So he's holding onto the aisle chair, and he's got his helper in front. And he's got to then lift me, all of those bags, up this step. And that was really hard for him. I felt terrible for this guy because it could have been done so much better. But we get in there, and then it turns out there's this S curve that you have to make to go from first class back into the dregs of the plane, the slums.
The slums, yeah.
So you got to do this little S curve around those big plush seats. And then he has to then lift up the chair. Like, I feel this poor guy. He deserved a pat on the back.
He wishes he would have spent a little bit more time in the gym, or he had one of the belts around, the weightlifting, those leather, there's belts with the big buckle. He wishes he had all that stuff. He wasn't prepared. He didn't think that was going to happen.
He was nice. And he did a lot of work there.
Sure.
Then we finally get in that plane. That was quite an ordeal. The flight was good. We touched down. Like it was just the softest landing ever compared to that first one. And we get the chair after getting off the plane, and it's smashed up. They wrecked my wheelchair. Like they wrecked it.
What they
the
did, and your wheelchair used to resemble that little round. What was it? BB8,
Yeah.
BB3.
So my wheelchair looked a lot like BB-8. It's white and orange, brand new tie light, and they scraped off a lot of the white paint on one side. They lost a few parts, got like knocked off of it. The back was bent. The handle rest bar was bent down.
So basically, now it looks kind of like the Millennium Falcon. It's been through a little bit. It's been through a
Yeah.
lot.
But I've got to say, like when we got off there, the gate agent, he would not acknowledge it at all. And then the wheelchair guy's like, "Hey man, the best here, we'll get you down to like baggage and they'll figure it out." This guy knew what happened and he didn't want anything to do with it. It was like it's like he could not see anything below his nose, like he wouldn't look down.
What a bozo, man. What a bozo.
There's so many great Delta people, but they were like,
Yeah.
you deal with so many people and you have to have like extra help because of the wheelchair. So
Yeah, he didn't want to be culpable, so he's just kind of, he's playing it off.
it was
The
fine.
other guy, so the other guy says you get down to bad claim and they'll figure it out. There's like some paint cans and they're going to start touching it up there, or do they give you some kind of like a reimbursement? What do they do down there? How do they help you?
So we get down there and I go to the wrong desk. I tell the lady all this
That's
stuff.
on you. That's on you.
I tell the lady all this stuff, and then she's like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry about your chair and about what I'm about to say, but I'm from Canada Air or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, busted!"
Air Canada.
It was like American in Air Canada or whatever, his own little like combination booth. And I'm like, "But," and she's like, "Delta's right over there," and I'm like, "All right, thank
Passing
you.
the
I'm
buck,
sorry.
you know how they do.
I'm sorry." And then I went over there. The lady was really nice. She was apologetic, and she's like, geez, what did they do? And
Yeah.
and then so she gave us a number within about 15 minutes. Delta had already had somebody call about, getting people out there to fix it and start getting all that up and going. It just got approved like 2 days ago, like officially to be all fixed, because I was in the hospital for a while. And then our side, like people who fixed wheelchairs and put them together, was really slow. Delta people were like, "Come on, let's get this going." So they've been really good and everything, but
good.
But yeah, so hopefully that'll be fixed up pretty soon. And
Good for them, accepting responsibility.
Yeah, they were good about it. Appreciated them.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like it was a pretty good trip as far as takeaways. It sounds like, you got to go on cars, 16 times and some different stuff like that. But I guess like one of the questions that I had, for people that have watched the vlog, hopefully a lot of you will now go check that out. It's in the description, link in there. You have some really neat music in the vlog, and I know that you're always like, really careful. You don't want to use anything that has like copyrights. How did you find music that was so close to Disney stuff, but yet, wasn't? What did you look up? What were the names of that? How can other people find this stuff if they want to add like Disney-esque music to a travel vlog, but they want to do the same thing? They don't want to, break any rules.
Spend hours and hours looking through the YouTube's audio library. So YouTube has an audio library. You can use any of that in your videos forever, all times on YouTube. And it just took a long time looking through things to kind of give a little bit of a Christmas vibe, but not like over the top Christmas music, and a little bit of a mystery behind it. And it took a while to find them, but I did. And I think the vlog came out pretty good. I was happy with it.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. And I know that this is kind of running a little bit long, and there's probably a lot that you'd want to say. Hopefully, you and we get out to the park here pretty soon. Maybe around the time of the Galaxy's Edge opening up.
Yep, that'd be great. And yeah, it was a really fun trip. I mentioned the times, some things weren't as good and some things that were really good. I always paint a full picture of a trip, not all the bad and not all the good. You got to mention sometimes all the things, because hopefully you guys could take little parts from this and advice and tips for things for your own trips. And like I said, this was a really, really good trip. The wheelchair aside and a few people that were a little bossy. Other than that, trip was fantastic. Everyone had a really good time.
And that's really good to hear, because like you said, one of your New Year's is to do as much as you can while you can, and travel is definitely a big one of those. So, with that said, this is just one of those things. If you guys listen to this, you're enjoying it. and you have 2 seconds to write into the comments. Scar, you had asked in your vlog, hey, what should be the next Scar adventure? I'd be interested to know where would people want to send you. So
That's a
please
good question.
put that in there. Scar, his next trip, he's on the plane, and say it has nothing to do with the mine fairs or mine cons and this kind of stuff. Where would you send Scar? What would you recommend he take a look at?
All right, I'm looking forward to this. So where are you going to send Scar? And with that, thank you so much for sticking around after all this time of like me being in the hospital and then recovering
Definitely.
and then ending up back in the hospital and then recovering. But we're back at the podcast. We have a lot of really fun things coming soon, along with video and a whole bunch of other things that'll be coming to the channel.
Yeah, pretty soon you'll start seeing our goofy faces in these videos. I think that'll be fun and give people something to laugh about. So
yeah, so we're very, very excited about the future of the channel. We're fully ready to go once again. And until next time, we'll see you later.